So it has been ages since I've done a Monday Moments with the Moon style video, but something has come up that I feel like I should address. So we're bringing it back for one day only and on a Friday, because why not? And the topic that brought back a dead series is that of critical race theory. And I want to talk about it because there is a very heated debate going on of whether or not we should be teaching children, specifically children in elementary and middle school age, about this theory. And I want to give my own 2 cents on the topic. What qualifications do I have to talk about it? Well, a college class on the topic, and quite a bit of time dedicated to researching it. Also, my acknowledgement that this is simply my opinion, and my permission to disagree kindly with anything I say in the comments. Just be prepared to back up whatever you say with evidence. I personally will be making sure to mention where I learned the information I'm sharing with you, as well as to link all of those articles in the descriptions for you guys to see for yourself. So let's start out with defining critical race theory. According to the American Bar Association, critical race theory is the belief that racism has no biological basis and yet has embedded itself into the heart of society and people. It claims that those of majority groups are subjugating or looking down upon those of minority groups, with many of them being completely unaware that they are doing it. When specifically relating to America, it holds that America's laws and regulations are set against those of minority groups, especially those of African descent. To simplify this, the theory believes that racism is the norm in society and that changes are needed to be made to fix it. When defining this theory, Brettignana, I'm pretty sure I pronounced that wrong, but this is how you spell it, breaks it down into 6 points. So let's discuss each of these points in detail, while also discussing what effect each statement would have if taught to children. The first is that race is a social construct, not a biological one. Now, this one is easy to see as true. Science has proven that all people have come from a common ancestor. Whether you're a creationist or evolutionist, this is something we all agree on. Because of this, logic tells us that race is not a thing, and I'm 1000% for teaching children this. Why we're not already, or not doing more of that, boggles my mind. All humans share blood and relations and similarities that we can use to bond over, and in my opinion, the earlier a child is taught this, the better. Point 2 is that racism is normal, at least in the United States. Why this theory is targeted just at US is beyond me, considering racism is a worldwide issue, but, you know, whatever. Now this is where things start getting complicated. As well, there's a lot of truth in this statement, there's also a lot of dangers in making it the core of your belief. That being that it doesn't allow for improvement. If you believe racism is normal, has always been normal, and always will be so, then you take away any hope of that changing. Racism is still a major issue in the United States and is something that needs to be fixed, but claiming that racism is the heart and soul of every person and every idea and every law makes an already hard task of removing it from the world seem impossible. I'm not going to deny that there's a lot about racism that has become normalized and that it shouldn't be, but I also believe there's a lot of things that are not, and that progress has been made in the right direction. This is also a statement I don't believe we should teach children. Now, children do need to be guided when it comes to race. Studies, such as those done by the American Psychological System, show that children develop ideas of race on their own as early as the age of 5, and if not addressed, this leads to racism becoming a norm in society. But teaching a child that the world is built on racism and that everything they believe and see is tainted is a good way to drive a child down some dark paths. When race comes up, parents shouldn't be afraid to talk about it with their kids. Guidance should be given to children to teach them that some of the thoughts they have are wrong while others are right. But why teach kids that racism is normal when we have the opportunity to teach and show them how wonderful a world without racism is? Children are naturally dreamers and extremely imaginative, and teaching them that something as negative as racism is at the center of everything could destroy that. Instead, use their imagination to guide them to a place where racism just simply doesn't exist. Some examples of how this can be done is encouraging a child to talk to people they recognize as looking different from them, introducing real-life examples of people from all cultures doing amazing things so the child has heroes of every color and background, and also not being afraid to answer the hard questions the child has. If a child sees racism at the core of an action or law, then talk about it with them, and most importantly, discuss how to change to make it better, and then act on that discussion. The idea of racism being part of everything isn't something that should be stuffed down a child's throat, but an idea introduced and developed as the child does. Point 3 states that people of minority groups only advance and are disadvantaged at the advantage of the majority white group. I greatly dislike this statement because it single-handedly takes away every accomplishment everyone has ever made and makes it worthless. An African American who has worked countless hours to get to the top of their job has just been told by this theory that they only got there because the whites let them, while a white person is only where they are because of the African Americans they disadvantaged along the way. Now, I'm not saying there's no truth to this, because there is. When someone gets a job, it means that job is no longer available to anyone else. But the statement simplifies extremely complex situations. It takes out the hard work, qualifications, personality, and billion other things that go into making someone successful. The statement also forgets about a very important factor of humanity, which is kindness. The willingness that many humans have to give up something for the betterment of others, to disadvantage themselves to put someone else at an advantage. That African American may have needed some kindness to get to the top, and the truth is those acts of kindness probably put others at a disadvantage, not an advantage over this person. People are so complex, and success relies on so many factors that this statement chooses to forget about. Now, this is a statement that scares me the most when it comes to teaching it to children, because it's a crushing idea that has enough truth in it to be believable and enough lie to be harmful. I can't imagine going up to a white boy and telling him that you're only where you are because a lot of people were hurt in the process, while also telling a black girl that she's only where she is because some white man said she could be. Both children would be crushed by this statement. Both children will grow up believing they had nothing to do with their success, with the white boy believing he can't be successful because it hurts others, the black girl believing nothing she does will have any effect on how her life will go. Please tell me I'm not the only one who sees the danger in this. So yeah, I don't believe we should teach this to anyone, especially as it isn't true and has no good effect on the world. What I do believe children should be taught is that their actions have effects on those around them, because that is the truth in this statement. If you get this candy bar, that means she does not. So the little boy shares the candy bar, or the little girl is given a chance to earn a candy bar of her own. 4 shows that negative stereotypes are placed on those of minority groups. This is true. We stereotype people like crazy, but majority groups are also given stereotypes. Stereotypes in general are a problem for anyone and everyone. For that reason, teaching children to look past that is a good idea. When a child starts pointing out a stereotype, then show that child an exception to the rule. When the child starts assuming something about someone, have them talk to that person and let experience teach them how silly and wrong stereotypes can be. 5 points out how no person can be identified by a single label, but are made up by multiple ones. Another very true statement that is useful for children to learn. Yes, I am white, but I am white because I am Italian, Irish, German, and half who knows what. Each of these countries has its unique history and impact on how I grew up. I am a woman, was born that way, and believe I should remain that way because of that. I'm also a Christian, and this title has the biggest impact on my life as it dictates how I act, what I say, and even the paths in life I take. Showing a child that every person they meet is complex with their own stories to share and ideas to give to the world is a good thing, because we are more than just our skin color or gender or ethnicity. We are a mix of these things and countless other things, all blended together to create something beautifully unique. And the final one states that those of minority groups are seen as unable to properly speak for themselves, especially when it comes to talking about their own racism they are facing. This is another issue that should be addressed and fixed. Every person is an expert in themselves and should have the right to speak on their own experiences. Innocent till proven guilty is a statement we should stand by, and children should learn that statement and how to trust and forgive and all those things that are so hard to do, but also so important to grow as a person and find contentment in life. I believe every person has a right to speak, even those I disagree with. In fact, I'm sure a lot of you are disagreeing with some of the things I'm saying, and I want to remind you of the comment section down below and how you can use that to create conversations. Well, I've skirted around this enough and should just come out and say it. I believe that critical race theory should not be taught to children, at least not till high school when a child understands what a theory is. For one, this is a theory, and one that focuses heavily on the negative, with the belief that everything is naturally racist and that accomplishments are dictated only by the majority. A child, especially a young child, should be taught truths, not theories. Teach them how all people have the same ancestors, how every person is unique and complex. Show them how their actions have effects on others, but for all that is good in the world, do not tell them that they only have a good life because of the cruelty done to others. And please, do not put the blame of history and the bad things that happened in history on a child, because that in itself is cruel. I'm not gonna lie, when I entered into this, I had a really negative view on this theory, mostly because of point number 3, talking about accomplishments and just how negatively that can impact the world if it is allowed to be taken as fact. But after doing the proper research, some of which I didn't even use in this video, I can see the value in critical race theory and can even get behind teaching it in high school if the emphasis on it being a theory is kept. Racism is still a major problem in the world, and a lot of that is because we have silenced minorities and have allowed some acts of racism to become normalized. Still, we can talk about this all we want, but if we really want anything to change, then we need to start acting. Live your life as if racism wasn't a thing, and teach your children to do the same. Love everyone, and hopefully that love will be enough. Thanks for watching this video. It was fun to take a closer look at a theory I had only had experience in relationship to literature. 'Cause yeah, that one class was a literature class, and it was about a bunch of theories, with critical race being one of them. And I also hope you found some of the ideas I introduced interesting, even if you didn't agree with them. If you did enjoy, maybe consider leaving a like, subscribing, and checking out some of my other content. If you enjoyed this, I think you would also enjoy my movie moments. But this is all the time I've got for today. I hope you have a beautiful and blessed day, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye!